You are live on 98.9 Northwest FM, and this is the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, joined by Alan. How you going, Alan? What's made you happy this week?
What's made me happy this week? I'm good, by the way. Thank you for asking. Was Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal Season 2. I did the most meta thing I could, and I watched it on a plane.
Yes, listeners will be aware he wasn't here last week because he was travelling interstate for work.
Yep. I thought, you know what? I'm going to watch this on a plane, not realising, how meta that was. And some of the scenes were just... I was very concerned because, you're on an iPad, you're watching something. Naturally, your co-passengers tend to steal glances. And the scene where he's reliving a childhood, let's say, for no spoilers. Yeah. I was very concerned that somebody's going to look over and be like, what is he watching? Report me to the stewardess. This man's watching something weird. And I'm like, I can't deny that. But it's not illegal, I swear.
He's a genius.
Yeah.
He is a genius.
Yeah.
Also joined by Callum. How you going, Callum? What's made you happy this week?
Probably the same thing that's made Nathan happy. We got permission to have our internet upgraded to fibre to the premises free of charge.
Well.
Yes.
So we were considered part of the body corp, and as such, there was going to be paperwork and fees and fines and whatnot. The NBN did an investigation and decided that the body corp does not need to be included, and it will be free of charge.
Excellent.
Yeah, which is the same thing that's made me happy this week. Save about $300 and get it done a lot sooner than the body corp would have done it.
What speed are you upgrading to? That's my question.
A gigabit. What else?
Gigabit? Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Okay.
I mean, it's only $20 extra a month. Why not?
Yeah, why
10
not
times
splurge?
my speed.
Yeah, especially when there's basically 4 people using the internet in your place.
Also, it worked out the same price as getting 250 and 250 up and down.
Yeah.
And I'd rather take 1,050. The upload speed for me almost is the better benefit. Uploading the show to the various platforms, especially YouTube, it's like over a gigabyte at a time. It can take some time.
It can.
With the current really slow upload speed we have.
But now, finally, whenever there's a game that we're like, do you want to play it? I don't have to wait for any of you guys to download it.
Yeah.
You're like, it's done.
But for me, it's going to save me probably a good half an hour on a Wednesday when I'm uploading the episode to YouTube. Let's get it done in 5 minutes.
Yeah. No, that's nice and easy.
Which, a bit boring, but that's what's made me happy. Also joined by a very special guest, Matt Mirams. How you going, Matt? What's made you happy this week?
What's made me happy? Well, I'm happy to be back, but there's some other stuff that made me happy. The Alien Earth trailer.
I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I'm trying not to watch it because I want to be surprised.
Okay.
As an alien purist, is this something I should be interested in?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's
okay.
I can explain the trailer, but I don't want to spoil it. I mean, it's
keep it mildly spoiler free.
God damn it! I was going to spoil some stuff. I had this whole thing.
It's only a trailer. You can spoil it.
Okay, the trailer introduces a human consciousness transferred into a synthetic body, who leads a team investigating a crash Weyland-Yutani spaceship on Earth. As they explore the wreckage, they encounter facehuggers and other lethal alien creatures that have escaped containment, turning the mission into a deadly survival scenario. So, on board this wreckage, they mentioned there are 5 types of different aliens. So it's not just our alien. Which one character in the trailer refers these monsters as predatory, which means there will be a predator.
You're saying the P word.
Yeah. But no, please go see it. It's great, and that comes out in August, I think, August the 12th.
Yeah,
the series.
Excellent.
All right, so as a person who's dabbled in Alien, I think I've watched Alien vs Predator. I caught like the last bit of.
You watched the original and then just the trash.
Alien 3, I think, which was one where she's like cloned and the whole
Alien
thing.
Resurrection.
Yeah, so I watched a bit of that one.
A bit.
Yeah, well, God, some of us didn't have the best childhood. I mean, it was fine. It just wasn't media filled.
That should have been really good. That was written by Joss Whedon, but then directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet, who did Amélie, who really couldn't speak
City of the Lost
English.
Children.
Yeah, Delicatessen, yeah. But no, what about Alien and Aliens?
Okay, so I've watched a bit of of Aliens when they like try and take the ship out and then it gets squished or something.
I like to imagine that you're sitting at home and you have like, I've got a half-hour block. Time to put on the middle part of Aliens.
Yeah, which part do I want to see?
We're going to go into the sad parts of Elm's childhood where it's like a Saturday night or a Friday night and I get like an hour or something to watch a film and then it's like, turn off the TV, boy, it's not for kids. Or we're watching the news. There isn't a news on at the time, but they're going to find the news somewhere. And that was basically my childhood. The amount of films I never got to finish because it was it's time for bed, or it's too late now, even though it's the same movie I've been watching the last 2 hours. Damn ad breaks. So that's kind of been my whole thing. Maybe I'm scrolling through TV, I saw a bit of Alien, then again, turn the TV off, boy. You know, it is what it is.
You got to catch up.
So
You've got homework.
Yeah, but so what? Do I have to watch everything? Is my question.
No, but Aliens, James Cameron, you should watch.
I would say the only ones that are really necessary would be Alien and Aliens.
Yeah.
And then if you want to subject yourself to... Okay.
Do I do the whole Prometheus and all that?
I was going to say, you could just watch the original ones. Like, when I say the original, I mean, like, the ones before the modern reboot.
Okay.
So, like, everything part up to Resurrection. And then after Resurrection, you can just leave it if you want. Because, like, then it becomes... Yeah.
Prometheus, and then there's
Covenant.
Romulus, who just came out. And then there was...
The newest one isn't that bad, actually.
No, Romulus is
Romulus
okay.
wasn't... Well, it's not bad. A lot of practical, which I liked. But Prometheus has that awful thing where they're running away from the falling ship, and instead of running
They run
sideways
long ways.
out of its
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of, they run length, like they run it the long length way, and you know it's dumb. Anyway,
Yeah.
But so the universe.
All they had to do was step to the right. And
yeah.
Then, sorry, go on.
So the whole Alien universe is pretty obviously widespread. Like there's books and comics and that sort of thing.
It also
aren't there?
includes Blade Runner.
Does it?
Yeah, they're set in the same universe.
All right. Well, I'll watch some more of it then. You know, you're right. No. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So, I want to be able to get the clearest picture I can, but everything I've seen about the franchise is you really can't get a clear picture.
So
The
one of
waters are
problems is-
muddy.
Yeah.
One of the issues, the thing that makes Alien great, the original 2 films, is that they are like the peak example of world building. So the original Alien, it explained very little. It was like, okay, we're gonna take some people in space, they're gonna find some ruins or whatnot. We're not gonna explain it. It's visual. So you look at it, you see the space jockey. It's not explained to you. It's like, so what happens is you watch this film and your imagination does the rest of the work. So like you're thinking, wow, what's the space jockey? Where do the eggs come from? What's the history of the alien? They explained it all later.
Prometheus.
Yes, and they basically ruined it because the best part of Alien is the questions.
Yeah.
It's seeing that space jockey, which is humongous in the original, and it's thinking, wow, there's a world here. Like, you could go and write your own little short stories about it. They made comics about it. You know what I mean? Like, people could make their own content.
It's that slow discovery that people enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they kind of answered all the questions in the worst possible ways they could, which is what Hollywood tends to do. Like Star Wars is a great example of this. The prequels and then the sequel trilogy, they answered all the questions in the most ridiculous ways they possibly could. But
So you're saying I should watch Alien vs Predator 2?
unironically, you could.
Requiem. Yeah.
They're like off canon.
Yeah. All right. I'll try and watch it from the start because I have seen Alien, but you know,
There's some good moments in all of the films. Like, no, they're not all entirely bad.
Alien 2 is when she's like mostly. Sorry, aliens.
Yes, correct.
They mostly come at night.
Mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly.
All right. Well, I'll give that a go.
And
But-
there's also one where
but
she
also
goes, stay
Alien-
away from her.
Aliens has got Bill Paxton in it,
Yes.
who he plays this character called Hudson. He is brilliant. He is absolutely brilliant. Lance Henderson. Go see it, for Christ's sake. Let's
Watch it on your
pause this.
projector. Got to watch it
and
on
then-
4K on your
Alright,
projector.
I
Trust
will.
me, with
Yeah,
your sound
I-
system.
Yeah, goddamn, it's good.
We'll give you the disc,
Yeah, done.
the 4K disc,
Yeah.
chunky boy.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Matt comes here with some stories and some news regarding his film Resonance.
Which we very much enjoyed.
Thank you. Thank you.
You,
Yeah.
Check out our previous reviews if you want to be up to date for this interview.
We've been saying it on the podcast. You're bringing it to Supanova in Sydney.
Yes, we've got
In
a
a couple
panel
weeks.
up there.
Tell us about it.
So for people that don't know, I know you boys know what Supanova is. Supanova is a pop culture convention celebrating the worlds of science fiction, fantasy, gaming, comics, collectibles. And Supanova is our audience. Resonance was kind of made for nerds and geeks alike. So the zombie comedy Australian film, Resonance, has got great potential to resonate with Supanova for several reasons. The genre mashups, especially when they blend horror and comedy. Zombies are a pop culture mainstay when paired with witty and absurdist humour. Taps into the same appeal that made Shaun of the Dead Zombieland and What We Do in the Shadows cult favourites. So we really think that Residence will be a cult favourite. And Australian cinema has a distinctive voice. You know, we've got dry wit and unique characters and off-kilter storytelling. And Residence, the film sort of celebrates the underdog, whether it's KJ or Tim the Vacuous. It's a Aussie zombie comedy that offers a fresh alternative storytelling outside the Hollywood mould. And I also think there's a lot of potential for cosplay.
Yeah.
With Residence.
Yeah.
Vacuums.
Yeah,
Yeah,
vacuums.
King outfits.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Like all the
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
the LARPing aspect of it.
Even gaffer tape man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what we do is we go in there. Our panel is on the 21st up in Sydney. It's on at 4:30. Me and the gang. There's Jeanette Coppolino and Luke Benson and Harrison Popple and Lawrence Ola. They're the actors that are going to be on the panel. We'll meet at 10 with some flyers and then to start handing it out, you know, and get the excitement happening. And then 4:30 we'll go on the panel and
So there is
sell
a
it.
screening
The trailer.
of the trailer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we'll screen the trailer and then hopefully I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I
we'll
mean,
see what happens.
I think it'll do great. I think it'll get people excited.
Have you boys ever been?
To Supanova.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not. Alan has.
Melbourne.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
not
used to sneak. No, I wouldn't say sneak in.
to-
A friend of ours used to do some sound work, and through his company, they'd get free tickets. So we'd all kind of also participate in said sound work, and then get the free tickets to get in.
I've never been. So my daughter, who's up in Brisbane, she went. She just goes, it's crazy the amount of people that go.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's all of these kinds of conventions. It's always breathing room only. They're
Oh,
always
yeah.
Yeah.
there's a lot of people that go to all these.
I
Kind
think
of things.
Melbourne, when we went, it was at the showgrounds, and so they've got the different little pavilions kind of to do kind of screenings and that sort of thing and panels, and then they've got the bigger hall usually where the merch and stuff is.
Yeah.
So at least there's that outdoor space in a way, even though right now it's pretty cold. I'd say Sydney would be a bit warmer at least. Kind of that outdoor space is always pretty helpful versus PAX, which I think is the breathing room gets a bit tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the vibe overall at Supernova is particularly for something more pop culture based. It's where it's at.
I think we're going to do good. I'll send
Yeah.
you boys pictures and everything when it's
Yeah, we
after
can
the 21st.
flog it on the
Yeah.
socials.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, so I mean that's exciting. So it's your first time taking it to a real convention,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
guess mingling with the peoples. And again, it's the audience that I guess will be most appreciative of this kind of movie. I think.
Well, after that, then we'll start screening it. We'll start booking.
So how did this come about?
They contacted me
Oh wow, nice.
for the Melbourne one in January, and I missed it. And then he
Ah.
sort of did a follow up and go, God, what is wrong with me?
That's fascinating. So I guess like that's big.
Mm.
Yeah, that you're
That's
being
awesome.
found.
Yeah, yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, I think he listens to the Tuesday review. That's how he.
Hopefully.
I mean, look, we have nearly 90 subscribers on the YouTube. I'm guessing some of them are locals.
Yeah.
You
Who
know,
knows?
We definitely know one of them's
Yeah.
Matt.
But you look, I listen to you boys all the time, as you know. But it's you boys are just getting better and better and better and better. You know,
try.
it's but it's,
I mean, it's the
funny and it's
It's the struggle everywhere. You know what? It's hard to get reach sometimes, and you never know yourself how many people are listening. And
Mhm.
obviously, there are people listening, and there are
Yeah.
people paying attention to your socials, and your movie and your film.
Mm.
It's just kind of it's hard to, I guess, really gauge what people think when
Yeah.
you're in your own kind like
Yeah.
sound, like your own kind of bubble.
yeah.
And it's awesome to like take that opportunity and then be like, you know what, I'm going to show it off and see what happens.
Yeah.
Like any opportunity to get to kind of put it in front of more eyes, that's awesome. Yeah.
When you boys are talking about films, that's awesome. You know, even not just the new releases. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, we like The Naked Gun.
Yeah.
I was trying to do a
Yeah.
segue then.
We can talk about the
By
Naked
all
Gun.
means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched I'd say rewatched. I've seen them all before, but not in many
Yeah.
years.
In
So
anticipation of the new
we'll
one
call it a
coming out.
fresh watch,
Yeah.
a freshish watch, because I've seen them all before, but not in a long time. I watched them all. I watched the first one a few weeks ago, and I watched the second and third one like in the last couple of days. And the first one is an amazing
Yep.
comedy, just an amazing film in general.
Mm.
And I just love it. I think I talked about it in one of our recent episodes. It's the small things in that film that make it for me. Like, when Leslie Nielsen's character, when he's driving everywhere, he casually just crashes the car.
Yeah.
And I love it so much. It's those little moments in that first movie that make it kind of happen for me.
You know what I love? Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, I've got the top 5 quotes, but yes, please keep going. I'll tell you that after.
What I love about the Naked Gun movies, and specifically, what's the ranking? It goes 1, 3, 2, 4. Is that the ranking?
Is there a fourth?
I
fourth
don't
is-
think there's
no,
a-
1,
not
3,
yet.
2. Sorry, yeah.
There's 1, 2.5, and then 33 and a third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What I love about all of them, but like number one specifically, is that even like the credits, like where the car drives through, it's so well constructed and it's so creative
Yeah.
that straight away when you're watching it, you're thinking, I should be paying attention. This is different, but it's also genius. So it's like, and it looks amazing. It's got that 80s look, that grain. It just looks great.
Yeah.
And they're just so funny.
Is this the same film where like the woman's climbing up a ladder and then he says "nice beaver," and
Yeah.
she says "thanks, I recently had it stuffed."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Why have I always seen bits and pieces of these things?
Probably YouTube.
Yeah.
But man, they're amazing films. And it's the small things in the first movie that I enjoy. The second is probably the weakest for me. And then the third one is back to greatness. I don't know if it's the second or the third movie that I laughed a bit too hard. It was kind of like almost a shocking moment when he's like, I haven't had this much sex since I was a scoutmaster. And then
Yeah.
it's kind of like silence.
Boy
It's like,
Scout leader.
yeah, Boy Scout leader.
Yeah.
And he was like, there's like silence. Everyone's like, ooh. And he's like, I went on a lot of dates, all right? I'm like,
I was young. I was dating.
Yeah. Oh, it's just so, it's so on the nose. They're all so on the nose. And they
It
go
also-
right up to the line.
It also does that thing like the comedy thing that they do in like Airplane.
Top secret.
Yeah, where it's like there'll be like a like a gun thing, but then he'll pretend to be the aggressor, and then they'll switch they'll switch
Yeah.
roles, and it's so funny to watch.
Oh,
like-
they're absolute classics.
Yeah,
But it's the deadpan delivery.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what sells it. So I've got the top 5 quotes. Okay, I'm going to read
Okay.
them out in no
Yes,
particular
please.
order. Number 5. He's on life support. Doctors say he's got a 50-50 chance of living, though there's only a 10% chance of that. That's one. Wilmer, I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on the force will rest 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's go grab a bite to eat. Jane goes, would you like a nightcap? No, thank you, I don't wear them.
yeah.
And then Mrs. Norberg, I think we can save your husband's arm. Where would you like it sent? And then Frank Drebin, because he does a lot of narration, like a midget at a funeral, I was going to have to stay on my toes.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Okay,
It's,
I have to watch these now.
you'll appreciate them. It's the witty dialogue.
And
So-
there's lots.
Yeah.
Seth
Yeah.
MacFarlane borrows a lot from like these types of movies. Like you'll see a lot of Family Guy in the Naked
Well,
Gun.
he's producing the next one.
Yes.
Specifically with the dialogue, you'll notice there's a lot of Family Guy-esque dialogue with like someone will ask a question and a character will take it literally. Instead of like kind of, it'll be a metaphor that Frank Drebin's not understanding, and it's like the nightcap joke. Thanks, I don't wear them, because he's not thinking about like a coffee.
Yeah.
He's like a nightcap. It's the literal word. What's the literal
Wordplay,
word
yeah.
versus the intended meaning. And Family Guy borrows a lot of that with Peter not understanding things. And they're amazing. You need to watch them all.
Before the new one comes out, yeah.
And
yeah.
Aliens.
And Aliens,
Aliens,
yeah.
yeah.
You got homework. We'll give you a list.
That's what it's going to be. I'm going to like book in
But
each night like a movie
also-
or something.
Also, respectively, they're all like 85 to 95 minutes
Yeah.
each. They're not long movies. They're kind of like, they do what they need to do and they're done.
Yeah.
And
it's
they're
like,
like,
and you'll be laughing the entire way through, which is what makes them so great. Because like I said, that humor style hadn't really been done before the 80s. So it's like when they found this gold, they mined it as hard and as deep as they possibly could while the going was good.
It's kind of Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Kind of did a lot of
Yeah.
it. Like Get Smart, the series.
yeah.
And Naked Gun was from a television series called Police Squad.
Yeah.
But I remember it was released back in '88, and I remember wagging school to go up and see it in the city, and it was packed, and
Yeah.
everyone was laughing all the way through. Like
Yeah.
we were in absolute tears.
Yeah.
You know,
why don't we get these movies anymore? You know, what happened?
I don't know. I'm trying to remember the
Commercial-
last sort of
Yeah.
comedy
A Million
we
Ways
saw
to,
that.
A Million Ways to Die in the West was the last in that tradition.
And I guess it didn't do that well.
But I think
Yeah.
that it's just the blockbuster nature of the movies now doesn't really make it.
I mean,
Like, if you're a
Is it
studio
the audience
exec-
pretending they're too mature for it? Like,
No,
not this
I
again.
think if you're a studio executive and you have to choose between something which traditionally makes $500 million in its box office run, like a Transformers movie or a Marvel movie or some big popcorn.
Or horrors. Horrors do well, but
Yeah.
comedies, no one's going to go see a
That's
comedy.
right. Like I remember, what was it? Bros.
Yeah.
That tanked, and it's not. It was, from what I understand, it wasn't marketed that well. But apparently, it's like just a mediocre comedy. I think that if you're going to release a comedy, it has to be funny, because like mediocre comedies, who's gonna go watch a mediocre comedy when you could go watch a scary horror movie or an exciting Mission
I
Impossible
think,
film?
yeah, it's a larger problem with comedy in general. Let alone, obviously, now the slapstick kind of comedy, absurdist comedy doesn't stand a chance when a normal mainstream comedy struggles as well.
Yeah,
So, the Naked Gun reboot.
Yeah.
So, I gather you haven't seen the trailer.
No.
It looks
it stars Liam Neeson,
Yeah.
Okay.
and it looks amazing.
I think the reason it could work is because Liam Neeson's in the starring role. It's produced by Seth MacFarlane, but also it seems to have the sauce, as the kids would say.
It keeps the same tone as the
Um,
previous films.
So, there were early screenings.
And-
Sorry, go on.
No,
Finish. When you're ready, I'll tell
Oh.
you this.
No, I think it'll be okay, only because the marketing seems to be very well done.
Also, just before we get to the early screenings, Matt, it's also
Yeah.
directed by Akiva Schaffer.
Hmm.
Did you watch Never Stop, Never Stopping?
Hot Rod.
Hot Rod, The Lonely Island Boys.
Hmm.
You know The Lonely Island
Yes, I know
Boys?
that.
Yeah, he one of those boys directed the movie,
And
which is
Never
a very
Stop- yeah.
good, actually, which is a very good sign. Because
And
Never
Never
Stop,
Stop-
Never Stopping is an amazing film.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Anyway,
So,
continue.
I'm nervous.
So, you're all right. So there were early screenings of the Naked Gun, not reboot, because Liam Neeson plays his son.
Yeah,
So it's I guess a continuation.
reboot cool.
There have been positive responses,
Oh,
with
good.
some critics noting that the film captures the original's tone, delivering consistent humour and nostalgic callbacks. However, the release of the first trailer sparked mixed reactions, while some fans expressed enthusiasm, others voiced concerns over the casting choice of Neeson, known for his action roles and comedic part, but I think he's really funny. He was in Ted, and he had a small role. Also, he was
yeah.
in Life's Too Short, the Ricky Gervais
Yeah,
series, and it was awesome.
I
he
think
was also in A Million Ways to Die in the West as the Irish cowboy.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah,
think
yeah.
that Leslie Nielsen didn't look like a comedic actor doing that role. He looked like the straight-laced kind of cop, and that's what made it funny, because he
Yeah.
was that straight-laced kind of guy.
And now he's as old as Leslie Nielsen.
So it could be one of those things where Liam Neeson is playing the straight role like Leslie Nielsen did before him,
Yeah.
right? It's not meant to be a wacky kind of character. He's doing all these wacky things, but he's doing it with a straight face.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah,
Mr.
so-
Bean. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, I particularly threw back to the Ted little cameo that he did. Well, not cameo, but that part where he's talking about tricks being for kids.
Yeah.
That scene was gold to me. I was like, it was like no one will follow me home. It's like, no,
Yeah.
this is a grocery store. We don't
Yeah,
really.
We don't have the funding for it.
Yeah,
or
this is
Yeah.
beyond our scope or something.
The other thing that I'm always interested in with these kinds of films is I'm always under the assumption the budget must be really high from all the shenanigans they get up to in the films. And that's probably another kind of struggle these films have getting made now. Unless they do it all in CG and it looks terrible, which I hope they don't. Because in The Naked Gun 33 and a third, or The Final Insult, whatever it's called, is they do some really expensive looking stuff in that film with cannons and with just like destruction and everything. I'm like, how can they do that today without it looking cheap? Unless they're spending $100 million on it. I don't know, it's
Can you
interesting.
do it overseas? We
Yeah,
just
but
do it
again,
cheap.
the CG will look cheap.
No.
That's what hang on. I did the CG for Residence overseas in Thailand.
No, but it's,
I meant the actual the practical stuff. Just do it overseas where it's cheaper.
I mean, film it overseas.
Yeah,
that's
just
true.
go somewhere where the law's under.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that.
What they do,
the
they
label
film it in
laws aren't
film it
strict.
in Romania like everyone else.
Yeah.
All the studios go
Well,
to
they
Romania.
can't now. Didn't Trump bring in something?
Oh
where
yeah,
Oh
something about filmed
yeah,
in
make
America.
them in America,
Yeah.
otherwise you get like 100% tariff or something.
Oh,
Actually, I'm like,
gosh.
good luck with that. Like most
Yeah.
films are made partly at the very least overseas.
Hmm.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, interesting. Anyway, I'm very excited for it. So I rewatched the original trilogy. So we'll see.
When is it releasing?
August the 1st, something like
Okay,
that.
so we got a
Yeah.
bit of time.
Got a bit
Late
of time.
July, August. Yeah.
But
12, I
yeah,
think.
hopefully it gets a wider release. But we'll travel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Look,
yeah.
at worst, it would probably be playing at Pentridge near us. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
that's our local
Yeah,
hipster.
that's our
haunt.
local artiste cinema.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
Naked Gun is the artiste film.
That's it. Well, again,
In,
you know,
in today's day and age, yeah.
it's
Go to
today's
the-
day and age. Yeah, I
that's
guess
it.
it
Go
is.
to the cultured cinema to see the Naked Gun.
Yeah, as the Lord intended.
Sit there and sip your wine, you know.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm here for the culture today.
Yes. So that's exciting.
Well, I mean, we've got. Didn't you see Wes Anderson? You've
Yeah,
just
so
rewatched
I
that.
love Wes Anderson. He's one of my favorite directors, if not my favorite director. And I'd never seen his two earliest films.
What was the first one you saw?
Oh, the first one I ever saw was probably The Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh, okay. And that was
Um,
his third.
Yeah. So I hadn't seen. I've seen all of them now, but Moonrise Kingdom.
Okay.
And I rewatched. You know, I absolutely love his later work. I love the kind of the artist, the theater about it. You know, it's kind of visually interesting. He does a lot. Like even the latest one took my breath away. Like I didn't like the whole movie, but there's segments in black and white that will just take your breath away.
Yeah.
Like there are moments so you're just like, this man, how can he can do no wrong.
The fact that he got booed at Cannes,
It just makes me laugh.
like it's one of those things where like James was saying that Cannes is always a riotous kind of festival. Like you do get people having strong reactions at Cannes, but like if you see a film, regardless of whether you think it's not a director's strongest work, like the artistic merit alone should at least give it a neutral response. Instead of like booing, I would never boo Wes Anderson. I feel like that's so disrespectful.
I think there's a lot of it though that's, I'm gonna say professional jealousy. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are booing him because he's doing his vision, and it might not be
And
what
it's-
studio executives want.
And it's uncompromised.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
uncompromising.
Well, that's it. Look, there's so much jealousy.
Yeah, he like
Yeah,
Wes Anderson is unapologetically doing what he wants to do.
Well, the thing is, as soon as he's finished, he's on to the next one.
yeah,
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And
I feel like it was just yesterday we
rubbed a
watched
few
Asteroid
people up
City.
the wrong way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, I said I feel like it was just yesterday we saw Asteroid City.
Mm.
Yeah. And even again, I was saying before, the French Dispatch took my breath away when I watched it. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was amazing. I loved every
Yeah.
minute of it.
I felt that way when I saw Rushmore
Yeah,
back
and
in '98.
yeah, and
I saw it
Rushmore.
on VHS.
And it's funny, we were
Yeah.
talking before the show how Bottle Rocket is good, but it doesn't feel like a Wes Anderson film, like at least to me.
Yeah.
And then you watch Rushmore and you're like, there he is.
It's got the
No,
soundtrack.
There's a scene, there's a scene in Bottle Rocket where Anthony Luke Wilson's character is running, and I'm like, no, there's a snippet of Wes Anderson. There's very much he's
Yeah.
running and he's got the bright red
Style.
kind of wall and he's
Yeah.
running, and it's that is peak Wes.
Yeah.
For a second, he sees it.
Well, it started off with a short
Yeah.
film.
Mm.
So Bottle Rock was a short film to start off with, and then they did the feature, and then like back in the '90s where indie films
Yeah.
huge, and then Rushmore.
But no, Rushmore was amazing. I couldn't. I don't know. I'd heard mixed things about Rushmore. I've always heard it was good, but it was
What
kind
made you
of-
watch it? What?
I wanted to catch up on his
Yeah.
earlier work.
Okay.
I just thought, I better respect the man and watch his earlier films. Like, I think I wrote a review for Letterboxd. I'll just read out. I said, it's a movie so full of kindness and grace. Everyone treats young Max with respect, ignoring all of his cringe teenage kind of desires. No, but they do. The adults in the film show him compassion.
Yeah.
Everyone shows him
That's
compassion.
one of the things I like about it the most is I think there's out of all of Wes Anderson's films, Rushmore has the most cringe. I remember watching it, and then I'm physically uncomfortable at some of the things that Max tries to do. I'm like, man, I know you're a teenage boy, but just rein
but
it in a little.
in that way, it's real.
No, but that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It was so uncomfortable.
Jason Schwartzman is brilliant,
his,
isn't he?
his first film.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was 18 in that movie, but he looks like he could be 15, and so
Yeah.
it really works.
He's gold. Perfect.
But it's funny and sad by equal measure. And nobody's really happy in the movie, but it maintains a kind of balance. It's everyone's just trying to survive under the surface, but they remain hopeful. Like, I just think there's so much grace in this movie where everyone's trying to do the right thing by Max and just letting him become an adult through all of his mistakes and his learning.
Mhm.
And I loved it. And unironically, I would love to see one of his plays.
Serpico on
Yeah.
stage.
And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kind of Apocalypse Now-esque
Yeah.
Vietnam kind of one at the end. Amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of effort he puts in and the amount of production and explosions and...
That was like me at school, where I would be getting people in on these crazy kind of ideas for films, because that's what I did during the 90s was
Yeah.
make these, you know, big
Like-
bold films.
Yeah, like high school Serpico theatre production. Amazing.
I also
Brilliant.
like this is also the beginning of Wes's relationship with Bill Murray, where Bill Murray plays the father of one of the students and a teacher.
No, he's like he's like a businessman,
Yeah.
kind
yes,
of.
yes, that's
But yeah,
it.
he's-
yeah.
He gives
the
a lot of
father
money
of
to the school.
two
and-
bullies or
yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his performance is so great, and like just his relationship with Max and like the other characters is so interesting.
But I think it's not. It's a movie that I wouldn't say couldn't be made today. It could be made today, but that kind of environment under which Max exists doesn't exist anymore.
Mm.
Yeah,
You've got that whole almost a community kind of watching out for the kids in almost, and trying to keep them on the right track. And I feel like that really doesn't exist in the
Yeah.
modern world now.
even when he gets sent from the boarding, mild spoilers for Rushmore. Even when he gets sent from the fancy school to the local, they still give him slack to pursue his ambitions. Where I feel like if that was today, no one would have the funding to let him play around with that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have the resources to let him play around with his theatrical stuff. Let
Well,
alone the other things.
I just feel like
all
people's
the other stuff.
attitudes today are different. I
Yeah.
just feel like people aren't as necessarily kind and caring, and everyone's too involved in their own kind of struggles. And
Yeah. Also, the internet exists, which would
Yeah.
derail Max completely.
yeah. That's another good point, actually.
It's funny. What you were saying was Bill Murray's first collaboration with Wes Anderson. But I read somewhere that, you know how hard it is to get in touch with Bill Murray?
Yeah.
He has this phone, I don't know, and
He
you know,
doesn't.
you're
He
lucky.
doesn't have a
But,
mobile. Yeah.
but every time Wes calls,
They have a special, they have a special relationship.
I like
Yeah.
to think that he writes him a letter.
Yeah, he could with calligraphy.
But
Yeah.
also I love that Wes Anderson, you know, uses the same actors all the time
Yes.
too.
Well,
You know, and
was it Benicio del Toro was saying it was his lifelong dream to work with Wes Anderson? A lot of actors just want to work with Wes because they know they're, it's again an uncompromising vision.
yeah,
Whatever film they're going to be in, it's going to be the film it's meant to be.
Mm.
It's not going to be kind of, I guess interfered with. It's not. Wes finances a lot of these films himself.
Yeah,
He does
yeah.
everything,
no
so-
interference from studios that are, you know, going to derail his original film.
yeah, I mean, I would like to see studio notes on one of his films. It's kind of just like question mark.
Yeah, more explosions.
What can we change about this movie?
Yeah.
It's already conceptually kind of obscure. Like, but no, again, every kind of Bill Murray is just an automatic yes for every Wes Anderson movie that he's invited to, and you can feel that kind of that almost that co-worker love on the screen. It's probably the best performances you're going to get out of Bill Murray.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
he's one of those filmmakers that every movie does something different. People hate on his style, but for us,
Jealousy.
it's
Yeah.
jealousy because he's doing what he needs to do, and it's
Yeah.
also very technically complicated. Like he weaves a lot of different kind of, going back to the French Dispatch. There's Timothée Chalamet, and then all of a sudden it's a black and white film, and then it's a psychedelic '60s montage, and then they're doing all these kinds of different visual aesthetics, but they work.
Yeah. Well, you look at the Phoenician scheme. There's not that many locations, but each location has something really interesting about it, including like a moving train element. And then like you were saying, there's like black and white elements, and like the editing is like super sharp. I feel like Wes Anderson's editing is something that's not really highlighted much about his work. But like I haven't seen Rushmore in a while, but the Phoenician scheme's editing is so sharp and it's so witty, and some of the cuts are breathtaking.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's like, yeah, I mean, everyone knows him as the flashy guy. He has the asymmetrical, cinematography.
He's the symmetry dude.
yeah, and he has the colors and whatnot and the whimsy. But his editing can be so great. And like you were talking about the soundtracks, like he's a man of many hats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
love
he
you.
hasn't got anything coming up. I just checked.
No, we love you, Wes. Please come on the show.
Oh, he'd hate it.
he would hate us. Yeah. He's just like, won't these boys leave me alone? Stop jerking me off. But yeah, we're gonna go to a very quick break, and we'll be back with more right after these quick messages. You are back on the Tuesday Review live on 98.9 Northwest FM. Yeah, so Rushmore, the Naked Gun movies, go see them. Callum, you were talking during the break about something you've been watching that's quite interesting.
Yeah, sure. Let me just.
Were they called video nasties?
They were
'Cause
called
my
video
dad
in
had
the
a video.
UK. Yeah.
My dad had a video store in the 80s, and
That's the dream.
there was a lot of those video nasties that were just I don't know.
Yeah,
You
specifically
wouldn't be able to
referring
sleep for a week.
Well,
Angst.
I think they were made to capitalize on like the schlocky horror, like the midnight screenings of like these horror films and grindhouse cinema.
Yeah.
Because like I guess like if you're like a 18-year-old punk or whatever in the 80s or 70s, there's probably nothing cooler than going to see something extreme on a Saturday night. But no, there was a whole in the UK. They were called video nasties.
It
And
just
it was a
sounds like a
whole-
term that you'd use like when like the dad's going out to the movie store. The mum's like, "Hey, get a couple of nasties, you know, for later."
That's it.
No, but it was
They were banned in countries.
yeah, they were, and
Yeah.
so was this one.
Well, I mean, was it Cannibal Holocaust
I
had that whole kind of
love
big,
it.
the
It's such a good
ABCs of
film.
death and that
Yeah.
type of thing.
They
yeah.
had that whole kind of thing where people got thrown into court because I'm like, is this real? And the actors had to come up to court and be like, no, everyone's okay. It was
That
fake.
only ate my thumb.
That was
The
kind
thing-
of the first found footage
Yeah.
film.
Yeah, the thing about like the video nasty kind of genre, if you will, is that they were made to shock people primarily. It was to get people's blood pumping. So it's not so much about the artistic merit behind the films. It's more about watching something that will make you feel uncomfortable for the sake of feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that they're all good. You know, I personally have issues with some of Gaspar Noé's work because he kind of leans into that. And it's actually an interesting
Like
comparison. Have you seen I Stand Alone?
No, I haven't seen that.
So that ruined Gaspar Noé for me completely. Because it's an interesting comparison to this film, because I Stand Alone is a film about a guy who loses his job in France. He was a butcher, and he has to get work in country France. Like, so he moves with his wife, and they go, and he's like in the outskirts, the suburbs, if you will. And he's not happy, and he goes through this existential crisis, and it's shock for shock's sake, but the protagonist is positioned as somewhat of a moral character in the sense that it's designed to have you sympathize for him, but he's not a good guy. So he like does stuff and he says things which are just awful. Like he beats his wife and then he'll like punch her in the stomach and she's pregnant, and then he'll go, "Now your baby's mincemeat." And like at the end of the film, it's revealed that he's also a child predator, but it's positioned in a way it's meant to be you're supposed to sympathize with him. And then I'm like, the problem is, if you're going to be having like characters like that, it's you should take a neutral position where it's like you're watching a bad person do stuff, which is what Angst does.
Yeah.
So it's the reason I like Angst is not because it's like bad people doing bad things because I'm edgy and I'm excited by crime. It's because it's like a neutral take on something that's an extreme horror for most people, which is like a home invasion. But it's from the perspective of a completely psychopathic serial killer, and it's based on a true story as well, which is extra fun. But it was it's Angst, English titled Fear, directed by Gerald Cargill, and I believe it's his only film. Follows a psychopath recently released from prison, loosely based on real life mass murderer.
I think I know this movie.
Werner Nisek, I believe that's how you pronounce the name, and this was banned in multiple countries because it's graphic depiction of violence.
I know this movie.
Yeah, but what's so interesting about it is there's not actually that much violence in the film. It's just
I think I've seen this film.
yeah, it's just so well directed that it gets under your skin.
Yeah, no, this is a bad movie. This is a bad movie in a good way. I've seen this movie before.
Go on. I want to say one thing, but go on. Yeah.
Oh no, it's uncomfortable to watch him because there's a threatening feeling through the entire film. But when there is violence, it's explosive and it's awful to watch.
Yeah, I know. I've seen
And then
this
like
film.
the gore is so well done that you're like, when you watch it, it's like the ultimate, like the eruption of the volcano, where you're like, this is sick, and not in like the good way, like you're watching something cool. It's like, no, this is bad, and then it kind of it has a really interesting ending. But yeah, so like whereas Gaspar Noé's work to me, it lacks.
Have you seen Irreversible?
No, but I've heard it's
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, I've heard.
Yeah. And Love. I like Love.
The problem, like I said, I haven't seen much of his work,
Yeah.
but Gaspar Noé tends to try and inject some sympathy into his characters. Where I think the problem is, if you're going to have bad people, it should be as neutral as possible.
this is one of the reviews. Thought-provoking, disturbing, and really good.
Is this for Angst?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, like it's interesting to me because it's shocking, but it's also beautifully well directed. The cinematography's nice. The score's actually really good, and it's a shame it was his only film because it didn't do particularly well because it got banned, and he had trouble financially. It was a disaster because he didn't make any money back from the film, and I guess he decided that he was one and done. But, like, you watch this film for 83 and it's awesome. I mean, not awesome, you know what I mean? Like, it's awful to watch. Like, there are scenes where I was physically uncomfortable, like I said, like, when he's, like, crawling through the house trying to find someone, he's holding his knife up high and he's doing this little frog walk. And it reminded me of, like, hiding from enemies in, like, a PlayStation 1 game. It was just disgusting to watch. And then there's the big murder scene. Again, viscerally disgusting to watch.
In a good way.
But you know, I know I say this a lot off air and on air. There's that phrase, they couldn't make this today. They wouldn't make this today. Nobody would give if this guy was like around now trying to make this film today, no one in their right mind would give him any money.
Where would it go?
Yeah, it wouldn't.
You know, I mean, it wouldn't go to any streaming sites.
Maybe Shudder.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, but
yeah.
Even then, I don't know.
Shudder or like Mubi or something like that.
It'll go Tubi maybe, and then they'd be like,
not Tubi. It might be too hard for Tubi.
Yeah, that's true.
Mubi maybe if you sell it the right way. They have that whole kind of it's cinema.
That's true.
Or
But yeah,
probably Shudder.
I really liked it. Like I said, I reckon it's worth a watch if you can stomach hardcore. It's not even that violent. It's the fact that it got banned because its brief depiction of violence is extreme. Much in the same way that people talk about Antichrist being an extreme film by Lars von Trier. It's extreme in small bursts. It's not extreme through the whole film. It's just an uncomfortable watch.
Yeah. Alan, have you got anything for us? You watched anything interesting?
Any video
recently?
nasties?
No video nasties, but I decided to watch the Truman Show on my
Classic.
flight back
For the first time?
for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I could have sworn there was a scene where he's like, "Give me back my life," but I'm like probably confusing that with the one where the guy steals the other guy's son. And he's like, "Give me back my son." That's not here nor there.
No,
Sorry.
that's Ransom
Yeah.
with Mel Gibson.
Yeah, so I'm just saying I'm confusing that bit. Is what I'm saying.
Very similar movies.
He-
After
no,
we get them
he
confused
says-
sometimes.
I'm just saying I'm having a Mandela moment where I thought he says, "Give me back my life" or something, when he's like,
What did you think of the Truman Show?
it was disturbing.
This movie caused.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know the historical context of the aftermath of this movie. This movie caused some mental illness. It triggered
The Truman Show syndrome.
It created, I guess, a new classification of mental illness where people thought they were trapped in like a fake game show
Yeah.
or like
Really?
a fake life.
Yeah, no, it really did.
It
Yeah.
really did.
When that came out, like back in the 90s, there were just the studios were competing against each other. There would be Ants and A Bug's Life and Armageddon and Deep Impact. And this was Truman Show and EdTV with Matt McConaughey. But I loved the Truman Show.
Yeah,
It is, yeah.
I thought
Did it affect you where you actually think that
No,
this is
no.
all for you?
No, no, no.
We're here for you.
No, for
I'm
some
American, but
some
I'm
Yeah,
people
we've
are
got
serious
little things in our ear and
They're like, he's asking questions.
yeah,
Get him.
talk video nasties.
No. Just like obviously they're committing, a huge crime on a person, just for entertainment, and the media is not above that. Clearly, in today's day and age, when you see what they do to celebrities, but it's just it just disturbed me in like how it's such a staple of everyone's kind of life to watch it, that they've got a worldwide audience, billions of people watch it at this point, and everyone's like, no one asks the question of, hey, is this guy right?
I
Like,
mean,
people do ask, they call in.
You can make the argument that when we watch the news and you see the terrible things happening, you're not really caring all that
No.
much. You do care.
Yeah.
But it's that kind of situation where people look at something and they say, well, I can't do anything about it, so it's
So-
not going to
there's a
affect me
layer
that
of-
much.
Yeah.
There's a
layer of-
removal.
Yeah, there's a layer of removal. Like the whole idea that they bought a baby,
Yeah. So there's a
Um,
removal of people watching this on TV. They know it's bad, but they can't do anything to stop it. So, oh well.
There's also
Yeah.
the contracts that the actors playing his wife and girlfriends and whatever would
Yeah.
have to have signed.
But like
And
the
that-
whole idea of like they fake
And the
kill his
waivers.
father in a
Yeah.
weird boat storm, just to traumatize him as part of the story.
Yeah. I like
Just-
The Best Friend.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
this great scene where he's the vendor and he's putting the cans in
cans
there,
in, yeah.
and while he looks away, he's taking them back.
Yeah.
There's all these little things, all the way through.
I love the
it.
doppelganger guys where they always slam him against the wall just so you can get the,
Oh,
the ad.
the
the
twins.
commercial.
Yeah.
You know what you got to watch now? You got to watch it's twin, like the more psychological version, the number 23. Have you seen that?
No. All right.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I have a question, and again, I know I'm the guy that takes it inappropriately, and
homework.
I always do, but so like you filmed this kid growing up, right? Like, and it's 24. It's in his house.
How old's the kid?
Yeah.
But like,
I mean, it's not that interesting as a baby, is it?
But the kid's gonna rub one out or something. Even as an adult, he's gonna rub. Like, are we filming this? What's the?
No, but that's what they said. They say when they were having sex, they said, "Oh, the
Cut to
camera just
commercial.
turns,"
Yeah.
But I mean,
But
the
somebody's
ratings would have
gotta
been really bad at the start.
Yeah,
The baby
it's
is
just
just
a baby.
sleeping all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
They'll
No,
probably be playing the producers will be playing the long game, just like fronting up the money. It's the biggest thing in the world, and
Yeah.
then we're all on.
Wait till
yeah.
he starts masturbating.
It's like
Then everyone's complicit.
There's
Yeah.
somebody watching a camera being like, all right, now I'm going to turn it away, that sort of stuff. I'm just like obviously,
It's
yes,
a dangerous game.
it's a film and that sort of thing, but like, just the whole idea, it's at the same time, it's not that far removed to what we do to celebrities. With paparazzi, they'll try and obviously catch them in certain shots, that sort of thing, certain parts of their bodies that if they can get a shot of them compromised, that sells for
Yeah.
huge money.
It's
You know.
also the metaphor for child stars as well,
Yeah,
having to
yeah.
grow up in the spotlight and then mature
They
in the
suffer
spotlight.
for it, yeah.
And like every now and again, you'll get a childhood star who will say something like, "I made mistakes that any teenager would make, except I have to face the repercussions of the public now as well."
Yeah.
And so I guess that's also a part of the Truman Show.
Well, I guess the Big Brother was
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, wasn't it?
And everyone's like, yeah, let's watch it. Like, it was like one of the most popular shows.
But remember when it first started,
Yeah.
everyone was just watching every
Yeah.
second of the day, and then there was Big Brother
Uncut.
Uncut, was it? Or After Hours?
I was
whatever it
allowed
is.
to watch that
After
one.
hours, yeah.
My friend Jake used to. He's like, as a growing boy, it was a good time, as he said.
What year did Truman Show come out in?
98.
98. So there was a smaller internet in 98, right? Like a burgeoning internet.
Hmm.
Can you imagine being Truman coming out and then seeing like YouTube compilations of yourself? And it'd be such a weird...
Like a cringe compilation, and you just want to die, like, watching that.
yeah,
Just
things
thinking
like...
of a cringe moment in your life, and you're just like, oh, man.
Yeah, and then there's like a million views
Yeah.
of you like stuttering.
Yeah.
So at
Okay.
the end, he goes out, and then he's probably seen all that, and he's just going, you know what? I'm going back in.
And
Yeah.
just keep up the charade.
Yeah, you know what? It was pretty sweet in there.
Yeah, just let me change the script a little bit.
Yeah.
The moment somebody's like,
Go
yeah,
back
good
in.
evening, good afternoon, and good night. That's it. Like, he's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm done. I'm going back.
Where do you
Yeah.
go from there? Once you've escaped, like
Well, he's
You,
got.
you
he
live
was,
in a cabin in the woods.
It was chasing
Well,
the
yes.
girl.
Yeah.
yeah.
He was chasing his.
I mean psychologically.
Oh.
Drugs.
Yeah.
Oh,
lots
yeah.
of,
cabin
lots
in
of
the woods,
therapy.
yes.
No,
Yeah,
lots
yeah,
of
like,
therapy.
Drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you should watch the number 23, which is about a guy who goes crazy because he thinks he's cracked the code of the universe.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the number 23, and he sees it everywhere.
I'll give it a
And it's
go.
like this fascinating. It's not like I call it the twin of the Truman Show, only because it's very philosophical. But it's like what happens if your reality breaks instead of having a fake reality. What happens if your reality breaks down around you? It's very interesting.
Yeah.
It's also kind of scary.
One final thought on this. I thought it was absolutely hilarious that Ed Harris, who plays Christoph, looks kind of like an oldish man in this. And then 20-something years later, he looks the same.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
do you not get
He's
old?
one of those ages.
Did you just get to like that perpetual old man age and that's it? Then he just stopped aging? 'Cause, what was he in? He was in Top Gun Maverick. Looked the same. He was in
Yeah.
Westworld. He looks the same. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do you... I'm getting grey over here. How are you not getting older?
Yeah. Blessed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was in The Rock. He looked old then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was 96.
He's like the late Gene Hackman. There are very few movies he looks young in.
Yeah, that's it. He was 30 looking like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah.
Well, I guess if you can maintain that the rest of the way, it's not bad. Those 30s are a bit rough and 40s, but once you're there at the 50 and beyond,
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
right.
That's
I
it,
think that's
yeah.
the goal. You take the looking old at a younger age for looking younger at an old age, I think.
Yeah, I'll pay that. That's
Yeah.
good. That's the
What other homework did you have to do? So it's just the Truman Show?
Yeah, that wasn't homework. That was the extracurricular activity.
Oh.
the rehearsal was his homework.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna do a big deep
Yeah.
dive on that.
Oh. I can't wait. I
I
haven't
say
seen it.
this-
When you mentioned that, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
This means nothing to Alan because I don't think he's familiar with Andy Kaufman's work. But Nathan Fielder has completely eclipsed Andy Kaufman at this point. He's become something else completely. That kind of deadpan, surreal, strange comedy.
Well, have you seen Man on the Moon?
No.
Okay, well, that's Andy Kaufman film with Jim
You know
Carrey.
that one I showed you about that guy who'd play the record and then he'd do the singing and then he'd wait for the next chorus?
Here I
Yeah.
come to save the day.
Yeah, that guy.
Mighty Mouse. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was on Saturday Night. Did you
Yeah.
see Saturday Night?
I did. That's a
Yeah.
great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the rehearsal is something special. And again, you know what? It's one of those things where like I'm glad it's getting made. And
Well,
I'd like to
yeah.
know. We discussed this. I'd like to know the budget, and I just want to know everything about the production of this.
And we need
but
to
I
he'll
want to know
take
how much that bloody airport cost.
Nathan Fielder will take it to the grave because
Yeah.
he won't separate. Like he's always in character.
Yeah.
Even we watched the footage of him on CNN for a 20-minute interview in character,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
frustrating the hosts.
If I
Like,
was ever to
makes me
condone
laugh.
following a person 24/7 with a camera, put the camera in the
Yeah.
house,
Yeah.
it's
Nathan
him. Just
Fielder,
because I want
yeah.
to see him break and be normal.
He would not break.
The
Yeah.
interesting thing is, how do you imagine pitching the show to HBO? And it's like, okay, so what's it about? It's complicated. How much is it going to cost? Not sure yet. Have to get my
a
licenses
lot of
first.
money.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, like
How much will it cost? Depends if I can pass the tests.
Sh-
The tests
sh-
of what? We're not talking about it yet.
Surely somebody's going to be like asking questions. It's like, wait, you want to do a pilot's license for a 737? Wait, we're renting a 737? Wait, you're flying this 737?
Yeah. But then you also got to think, like, it's funny. So when Warner Brothers was first acquired by, merged, I should say, with Disney, Discovery, sorry, not Disney. It became Warner Brothers Discovery. The CEO at the time was a big onto reality TV, like we talked about with the
Yeah.
first season. And when it's like, how do you pitch that? It's like, is it fake or is it real? And it's like, yes.
Yeah.
So
you don't-
it's this fascinating.
you
it's
keep
this-
David Zaslav confused by being like, it is reality TV, Mr. Zaslav.
Well, what's so fascinating about the rehearsal is you could pick any episode apart from the Sully episode, and you could be like, is it real or is it fake? And the answer is it's both. And it's like, who's in on it, who's not in on it? We'll never really know, because like, you know what I mean? That's
You
what
saying the
makes,
Sully episode's not real?
the Sully episode is the most scripted of the episodes. But what I'm saying is like that stuff with Wings of Voice or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all real because people got upset about that. Like, you know what I mean? But
The-
then
no,
how
the
do
win.
you-
The winner sang on Jimmy Kimmel. They did all right.
Yeah, but they thought it was like a bigger deal
Yeah.
because Nathan Fielder didn't tell them the truth. But that's my point.
Wait,
is-
the truth he told them was, if you win this, you get to sing a song of our choice
yeah.
on
national television.
National television,
Which is
right?
true.
He didn't lie.
No,
he
he
didn't
didn't
lie,
lie.
but he also they got to sing on HBO and on network television. So
Yeah.
they did all right.
that's-
Anyway,
But you see my point, right? It's so fascinating because it's both real and fake at the same time.
Yeah.
And
we'll
no one
go
else
into
is really doing that.
we'll go into a further deep dive on this probably next week when James returns.
So where's James?
He's watching
A preview screening of Dangerous Animals.
yes,
with Jake
he's-
Well,
I saw the trailer. Looks great.
It looks good. Looks good.
Yeah.
Of course, it has to be on a Tuesday.
Yes.
But that's fine. You know, we can't knock these opportunities as they arrive, so we do the best we can. Do you have anything for us, Matt? Have you seen anything interesting you'd like to talk about before we run out of time? No pressure.
We'll go around and I'll come back to me because I'm just got to go through all my notes.
Putting you on the spot. That's
Yeah.
fine. All good.
But no, I did see The Accountant too.
Oh,
Good?
very good. I
Yeah.
haven't seen that yet. What do you think?
No, I didn't. Didn't really think much of it. I loved the
Okay.
first one,
Yeah.
but the second one
Was the second one straight to streaming, or was it?
It's on Amazon Prime now. I don't know.
Okay,
if
so
started
it was
in
actually.
theaters.
At
I
cinema.
think it had an extremely limited theatrical run.
Yeah.
was.
Did he do much accounting?
What's that?
Did he do much accounting?
There was some counting, yeah,
Okay.
which was great because I'm sitting there going, "He better get to some numbers."
Oh,
I'm
too much-
asking for my money
too
back.
ma- yeah,
I
too
want to
many-
see that abacus, and I want to see it now.
That's it. Too much guns in the first
Well,
one.
the first one I thought did a pretty good job of. There was accounting, and that's what led to the
Yeah.
gunning, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, there was good reason, rhyme and reason behind it. I guess at the same time, my accountant doesn't have a gun. At least I don't think he does.
I think maybe you do want an account that has a gun.
maybe. Well, he was helping his customers get good returns.
That's it.
You know? So if my accountant has a gun, but he helps them get a good tax return, whether it's because he goes and robs the ATO, I don't know. I don't want to know. Personally. I just want that good return.
Yeah, that's it.
So, but back to the accountant 2. You're saying it wasn't doing it?
No, I wasn't doing it for me.
Yeah.
It's got, was it Joe Berthol in it as well? He plays his
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
great. Look, they're both great, but
Mm.
I don't know. Nowadays, I'm more
think
sort of focused on series.
Is it one of those things where it just feels like the movie's content for Amazon Prime, or what's the?
I watching it going. I've seen this a million times.
Yeah, it's nothing
Yeah.
new.
No.
Nothing new.
So what is it? Count it to 2 stars, not enough tax returns?
Yeah, that's it.
Alright.
Not enough maths.
There's one more I forgot if I got enough time to just squeeze this in.
We got like 2 minutes.
I watched this awesome movie on Shudder called Moon Garden, which was a kind of low budget fantasy horror weird surreal film about a little girl who gets put in a coma, and then she finds herself in like this strange steampunky kind of industrial fantasy scape, and it's all practical. And the villain is one of the coolest horror villains I've ever seen. All done on a budget, really practical stuff, very physical. And it's like the story's not the strongest because it's all about dream logic, nightmare logic. So it's from one place to the next. So the story's kind of loose, but it's because it's not a coherent narrator, if that makes sense. But it's so well made for, I'm assuming, the low budget that it had. Yeah, just really wonderful to see, like the kind of puppetry and artwork that went into it. Very,
Looks
very
great.
creepy, very David Lynch. There's a lot of Lynch in there, like stuff with electricity that's really interesting. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Yeah. Anyone else have anything? We're just about all out of time.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming, chatting. Have some fun with us, Matt.
Anytime. I love coming in.
The hour goes pretty quick.
Yeah.
It does.
So if you are in Sydney on what dates?
The 21st of June.
And get tickets to Supanova.
Yeah.
And find yourself at the screening of the trailer for Residents.
And the panel. And you'll
the panel as well.
ask questions.
Is the panel
I think,
before or after?
before.
Okay.
Tell Matt the Tuesday review sent you.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah.
It's like one guy. It's like, I don't like those guys too much, but you know what?
That's it. That's it. They get a bit pretentious, but Thanks for listening, everyone. You can catch the Tuesday Review on some of the socials now at Tuesday Review AU on Newsmask, Blue Sky, Instagram, and Substack. Our Substack is thetuesdayreview.substack.com. And on YouTube as well, at Tuesday Review AU. Please like and share. Give us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. It helps us reach new audiences. I'm on Letterboxd. I'm Nathan B_90.
I'm Alum20.
I'm Callum Tuesday.
Are you on Letterboxd yet, Mr. Mirams?
I'm going on there now.
We'll keep our listeners
Yeah.
updated.
Yeah. We'll put it on the little doobly-doo at the bottom.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.